Hi, I'm Max. I'm a senior field service engineer here at Honeywell. Today I'd like to give you a brief demonstration of the SonicExplorer PC app. SonicExplorer supports the NG-Q, that's the next generation Q.Sonic family of meters, as well as the legacy meters when they've been upgraded with the Series 6 upgrade kit. We utilize Ethernet connectivity for SonicExplorer. So on a simple basis, we can connect the meter directly to our laptop with a regular patch cable, but to think about that in larger terms, we could also have a computer connected to a network with many meters all on the same subnet, and we could look at those meters simultaneously. We could even monitor those meters continuously using your proprietary software behind your firewall. What I want to do right now is set an IP address, a static IP address, on my laptop that's on the same subnet as the meter. I've had a look at the meter display and saw that the IP address on the meter is 1.2.3.4. So I want to go to the Network Sharing Center and change adapter settings. On my local area connection, I can double click here, go to Properties. I need to get to my Internet Protocol version 4, TCP/IP v4 properties. Oops. So I have a static IP address in here, but it's not on the correct subnet. So I'm going to put an address very close to 1.2.3.4, but it can't be exactly 1.2.3.4 because that is the address that the meter has. The laptop needs to have a unique address on the same subnet, but not the same address as the meter. So I've chosen 1.2.3.5. On the subnet mask, the default was 255 3 times and 0, and that will be okay for what we're doing. So then I'm going to OK and close and close, close, close all of this. And when I go back to my SonicExplorer, I'm going to add a meter here. 6533 is the serial number of this meter. That's just a nickname. You can call it anything you like, but the IP address has to match the actual IP address of the meter. So we've added the meter on. We can highlight that and say connect. SonicExplorer is going to execute the connection routine. You'll get a progress bar here with some description of exactly what sort of activity it's conducting at the moment. This process of connection on a new meter will take probably around 15 or 20 seconds, something like that. So it's almost finished. There we are. There we are. We've got the primary diagnostics on the screen here. The status, the health status being reported directly by the meter is that it's okay. If we roll over the little eye window in the center of the meter icon here, it shows us the IP address of the meter. It also shows us a green light indicating that the meter senses its own health as okay. We can see the gas velocity here. We've got the air conditioner in the room shut off right now, so we have very little air movement in the room. Might get occasionally a little blip here, positive or negative. Performance on the meter is showing at or nearly at 100%. That's just the percentage of accepted samples from the 25 to 30 samples we do per second on every transducer. And we've got some totalizers over here for forward and reverse volumetric flow. This funny looking icon here is just to give us a representation of the flow profile, and since we're at zero flow, we don't really have a defined flow profile. I want to click on the service button now. This brings up a screen with 3 graphs, and the 4th quadrant consists of what I would call tabular data, meaning numerical data that's organized in a sort of a table format with the performance, the velocity of sound, the velocity of gas, the gain levels of each transducer, signal to noise ratio of each transducer, some diagnostic status bits on each path. And this is sorted according to each path. The swirl paths B1 clockwise and counterclockwise, the 2 axial paths on a Q.sonicPlus meter, A1 and A2, the other swirl paths B2 clockwise and counterclockwise. In the upper left quadrant here, we have the velocity of sound. That's simply the speed at which the sound energy generated by the transducers travels through the gas from one transducer to another and back. Here we have the velocity of gas. So this is showing the gas velocity measured along each of the individual paths. Here we have the automatic gain control levels in decibels. If we hit the other tab, we get the signal to noise ratio, also in decibels. One of the unique features, going back to the main page of SonicExplorer here, is an item called the customer service package. So if we choose generate a customer service package, SonicExplorer will basically walk us through the entire process of gathering a small amount of data that can be zipped up and sent to an email client, to myself, for example, or to my colleagues, but also gives you an assessment of the health of the meter. So in the real situation, we would type in the static pressure measured at the meter and the gas temperature. We could also enter the gas components manually, or we could import them from a CSV file that was generated by the gas chromatograph software, which is obviously the best way. I'm going to just sort of bypass all of that and go ahead and run the healthcare at this point with the default values that are in here, recognizing that that'll fail some tests, but I just want to show you how this runs. So I get an error message that says the gas velocity is low. It's below the minimum that we have spec'd in the program. Do we want to run anyway? And we're going to say yes, we'll run anyway. So SonicExplorer cranks up a report here that looks at various diagnostic information coming from the meter. And again, we're going to expect some fails here because we don't have any flow and we haven't filled in the gas composition, or we haven't measured the pressure or temperature, that sort of thing. So at this point, SonicExplorer has captured the healthcare report, and it's assembling that into this zipped up file called the customer service package. What it's doing right now is it's building the MPC. The MPC is a multiple pulse collection. That's just a computer file that represents the signal waveforms from each of the transducers. And it's going to run through that routine 5 times. Now that process in real time will take probably about 2 to 3 minutes. So we'll pick back up just at the end of that process here in a moment. So SonicExplorer is just finishing the process of completing step 5 of 5, and we get the notification that the customer service pack is complete. It asks, would you like to send an email of the customer service pack? And I choose yes. An email address will be inserted automatically based on the preferences that I've chosen here for each meter. So I have a reasonably sized zip file that I can send to myself, for example, for analysis. Okay, so we've sent the customer service package. I'd like to show you a couple of other features built into SonicExplorer here. One is the output test, and to get to the output test, I'm going to right-click the icon and choose Configure. It's going to ask me for a username and a password. If I use the generic username, user, numeral 1, no space, and leave the password blank, I can log in there. So Configure is going to bring up this screen. I'm going to step over here to the far right tab that says I/O. Notice I've got a tab for each one of the frequency outputs. I'm just going to do a test on the frequency output channel number 1. I turn the test mode off and type in a number here. For example, 2500 would be half scale on this meter. And I write parameters to the meter. That's going to generate a 2500 hertz signal on my frequency output 1 for a fixed time interval of 5 minutes. So I can verify that frequency output by bringing up a browser, such as Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, any of those. Type in my meter IP address, followed by a /frontpanel.html. That brings up a feature we call the display mimic. It brings up a screen exactly like looking at the display on a Q.sonicPlus meter. The legacy meter with the upgrade kit obviously doesn't have a display, but it still has the feature of the display mimic. So from here, if I click in these areas where the arrows are, I was actually on info, which is what I need, and I enter on that. I choose analog outputs. I can go up and down here. I choose analog outputs and enter. I can see my frequency on channel 1 is 2500 hertz. That's my test frequency that I chose. So that completes the basic feature illustration of SonicExplorer PC app that I wanted to give you today. Thanks for watching our video. I did just want to mention in closing that the SonicExplorer PC app is freely available to Elster Instrument customers for use with the next generation Q.sonic family of meters, including Q.sonicPlus, as well as the legacy meters that have been upgraded with the Series 6 upgrade kit. Contact your Honeywell Elster Instrument rep for information on where to download SonicExplorer. Thank you.